The earthvox podcast. The earthvox podcast. earthvox podcast.
So Donald Trump keeps he keeps blowing up boats in Venezuela, and I'm starting to wonder if this is a real thing. Because why do they keep going out there? Don't they know that they've been marked for death? I mean, theoretically, these cartels that are sponsoring these drug boats are losing a lot of money. There's a lot of investment in the cocaine or fentanyl or whatever it is they're sending wherever they're sending it to. We don't know a lot. But at this point, I'm skeptical of the legitimacy of the stories that are coming out about these boats. Why do they keep going out there? Is it a media blackout in Venezuela? Are they not aware that their boats are going to be blown up? They continue attempting to ship drugs to the United States. And is that really the reason why they're being blown up? I don't know. I have a lot of questions. I'm trying to think critically about what's really happening here. And there's an interesting rabbit hole to venture down that involves the Cartel de los Soles or something. I think my Rumble stream is malfunctioning. It froze up on me when I was trying to sound check it. It seems like maybe it's back now, maybe it's struggling. Rip the Rumble stream. There will be an audio version available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and wherever you choose to listen to your podcasts throughout the day when you can't sit in front of a screen. But I was dumping. I was diving down this rabbit hole about the Cartel de los Soles right before we went live. I suppose it could have contributed to my lateness. Let's not forget to share the screen for you. I was rushing, not Russian. Don't want to make that mistake. All right. Devora Sasha writes on X, the Cartel de los Soles is a global narco-terrorist organization led by the Maduro regime in Venezuela. It has enslaved the Venezuelan people and deliberately supported the Tren de Aragua, which has expanded into the USA to destabilize, invade, and commit acts of violence. The cartel has also supported guerrillas and cocaine producers in Colombia. It has permitted Hezbollah and Iranian cells to operate from Venezuela and has issued approximately 10,000 Venezuelan passports to terrorists. They traffic cocaine and fentanyl into the USA. This is the most dangerous terrorist cartel in existence and must be eliminated. President Trump has vowed to take action against it. That's all great. Why do they continue to send drug boats into the teeth of the United States Navy, Coast Guards, whichever number of forces have responded to this imminent threat on the United States? I think it goes deeper than that. And that's why I was a little bit late to the show, because I was digging. It's a developing story. There was an interesting, I pulled my phone out here because I heard a very interesting podcast a number of days ago No, that's the wrong. I got to pull it up on my phone because that's where my podcast app exists. The Adam Carolla Show put out an episode called How Elections Are Stolen with Ralph Pizzullo and Gary Bernson. And it was quite fascinating. However, I take pause because the story that these two people were telling on this Adam Carolla Show podcast was mind-blowing, sensational. And it just seems interesting and a little bit detrimental to the credibility of the story that no other media outlets have picked this up. They talk about this Cartel of the Sun, Cartel de los Soles, and how they're involved with Dominion voting and Smartmatic voting machines, and how this Cartel de los Soles is the richest cartel in the world and is enforcing its will upon populations around the planet by using these voting systems to, we'll say, sway elections and install governments favorable to the cartel's policies. And of course, not just the cartel's policies, but opening up elections for purchase, allegedly, through using Dominion voting systems and Smartmatic to sell the winning votes to the highest bidder. Well, that creates a pretty massive problem when it comes to expressing your voice as a citizen and choosing which leaders control the governments in your country. But it is a bit sensational. It's a bit sensational for me. At the very least, I hope Donald Trump is seeking justice. If there is actual evidence of this Cartel of the Sun rigging elections and basically engaging in a global dominance campaign, I think it serves as a much better explanation for why there is such military force being used upon Venezuela and so many threats being made against Venezuela and against Maduro, their presidents. You know, he offered the world, essentially, to Donald Trump in exchange for basically just leaving them alone. Maduro said, please, Trump, leave us alone. Let us continue operating our narco state. And you can have access to all of our minerals, all of our oil. Basically, it sounds to me like Maduro tried to pay Trump off to leave them alone and let them continue engaging in whatever world-conquering behavior they've been engaged in. Because unfortunately, the character of modern-day politicians seems to be such that you can threaten them and their families, and they will quickly bend the knee and bow to whatever requests you make of them. And this is true with congressmen, it's true with senators, it's true with judges. And the effort seems to be across the Western world, destabilization, Islamic states, and general chaos. Because that's what's happening. That's what's unfolding. We're going to get into it. Thank you for tuning in. Please hit the like button, hit the follow button, hit the subscribe button. And if you have a chance and you feel like being generous, share the show with someone you know that may like it. And also share it with someone you know that would definitely hate it because it makes me smile. Leave me a rate and review too, if you have the time. And oh, hey, check it out. I'm remembering to plug the voicemail 701-787-1121 if you want to leave me a message. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love your feedback. As always, I don't care if you're a jerk and you want to hurt my feelings, you go right ahead and try. Accept the challenge. I'm really getting frustrated with the obvious lack of judgment perpetuated upon us, the citizens, by these, I mean, in my opinion, obviously installed leftist prosecutors, judges. I mean, the evidence is there. Like it's really kind of mind-blowing when you do a deep dive. I mean, don't even do a moderate dive. Do a medium to small dive into some of the things that are going on, into some of the people responsible, and it's mind-blowing. Story after story of justice being flaunted. And we'll start in Cincinnati, since this was a bit of a sensation this week. Cincinnati's police chief, Teresa, your guess is as good as mine. Theetge, Theetge. I wonder what nationality that is. I'm not suggesting that she's not an American, but she definitely doesn't behave like an American, despite seeming on the surface to be an American. They're placing her on leave, this police chief, because high-profile crimes have been occurring quite a bit under her watch as police chief. High-profile murders, young kids being murdered, this brawl. I'm sure you've seen this brawl going on social media. You can see it if you're watching the video. We're streaming live on Rumble, on X, and also on YouTube and Twitch. If those happen to be your platforms of choice, I say Rumble. Choose Rumble. They're a good, I want to say American company, but I think that might not be 100% accurate. I would consider them an American company, but I think they probably have foreign funding. They're operating on American values, is the point I'm trying to make. So we should support them by using their platform whenever possible. They got to get some shorts going. I upload shorts to YouTube, to Rumble, and to X. But Rumble doesn't, I feel a little bit silly doing it on Rumble because Rumble doesn't really have a platform for shorts. You know, little videos that are like a minute and a half or less. I still put them up there. So head over and give me a like on those videos. Leave a comment if you would be so kind, because that elevates the visibility and spreads my message to other citizens that need to hear it. When I hear this story about this Cincinnati police chief, it's unfortunate. I don't like feeling this way, but I think it's honestly a product of the media and the culture that seeks to divide us. I see this person and I think, oh, it's a white liberal woman not doing her job. But I don't think she's not doing her job because she's a white liberal woman. I think she's not doing her job because she's following orders. And she's too much of a pushover to do the right thing, despite what the scary people in her orbit are telling her to do. They're no doubt, in my opinion, telling her not to enforce the law, to let people run wild. We find another distinct lack of justice in this story, also coming out this week, to Carlos Brown Jr., the man who murdered Irina Zarutska in cold blood in Charlotte, North Carolina, has his death penalty court hearing pushed back to next year. Are they overloaded? Like, is there a good reason for doing this? So he gets to live on the taxpayer's dime for at least that long. I don't know. How do you feel about the death penalty? I'm on the fence about it. We see the video of this man on the train murdering this woman. Is there any question about the credibility of this video? How could there be? But we're going to pay for him to live in jail for another year, waiting for his death penalty hearing. In the meantime, he gets 3 hots and a cot, courtesy of you. Are you good with that? Are you against the death penalty? Would you prefer to keep people like this alive in prison until they die of old age or get murdered? Ooh, that would be a bad way to go. Murdered in prison. I don't like it. It gives me real pause and contemplation. For contemplation. With everything that's fake out there, with how corrupt the people in charge seem to be. Do we want to rush to the death penalty? Of course it should be on a case-by-case basis, right? But why is it so easy for Republicans? Are they just cold, heartless bastards that just want to what's I go back to Eddie Izzard, old cross-dressing comedian. Yes, I know, very controversial. He said in Texas, commit a murder, they hit you with a brick, and that's the end of that. What do you think they would prefer? I mean, I know death by cop exists. People get themselves into situations where the police are called and then they try to kill a police officer. And then, of course, all the police officers open fire, and it gives the media a great argument for defunding the police and getting rid of everyone's guns. And the media, of course, is happy to go along with it. But Judge Jeanine Pirro, she was on Fox News, I think. She was Trump's, she wasn't even Trump's pick for U.S. attorney. The Democrats and rhinos in Congress wouldn't approve Trump's pick for U.S. attorney in Washington, D.C. So he decided on Judge Jeanine Pirro from, I think, Fox News fame. And this is what she had to say on her appearance on Fox News recently.
No message of accountability here. And right now, in my office, when I got here, the prosecutor before me, the Biden prosecutor, did not paper something like 65% of the arrests. That means that when police made an arrest, the prosecutor wouldn't even prosecute. My papering rate is 92%. Those cops make an arrest, I've got their back. I'm going to file those charges. No message of accountability.
Why is justice a partisan talking point now? Why are Democrats happy to let criminals walk free? Why is it so easy for Republicans to prosecute criminals? And why is the media so willing to paint them in a cold, evil, domineering, authoritarian, fascist light? Don't they like to feel safe when they walk down the road? Or are they just too afraid to speak up and say, hey, I'm not in favor of this, but I'm going to do my job. I'm afraid to do the right thing because the system has me. Where's the justice in that? Everybody's just willing to go along with it so that they can keep their jobs and watch the country spiral into chaos. And why is it so easy for the other side? Why do they hate you so much? That they can see story after story of crazy violence, massive street brawls where people are beaten to death. And think, yeah, that's fine. Hopefully someone else will come along and do the right thing because I'm too goddamned afraid to do it myself. Do you think the cities would be so out of control if we had people like Janine Pirro in every major US city prosecuting 92% of the people that police arrest? And what do you think that would do to the attitudes of the police out there enforcing the law? You must believe that policemen willingly turn their back to crimes because they know the prosecutor that will ultimately decide whether justice is served will not prosecute the case, will dismiss the charges, and that person will be back out on the street by the time the weekend is over. And what message does that send to the criminal? What message does it send to the rioters and the Antifa terrorists? When they're able to get some sort of protection from Portland police by just running behind them while DHS and ICE officers are shooting pepper balls. Boy, good thing the Portland police are there. Although there is a story this morning that Portland has finally had enough. I would assume that they've gotten some sort of ultimatum from the Trump administration telling them, you better take care of this or we're investigating all of you and people will be prosecuted. So the Antifa encampments and safe houses around the ICE facility that's been tormented in Portland for weeks now has finally been disassembled. And now Antifa is nowhere to be found. Just a pile of all the aid and comforts they've been given, no doubt, by foreign donors and NGOs using your tax money. And no doubt the threats that have come to these people. I mean, if they're threatening ICE agents, what do you think they're doing to lowly Portland police officers? I know one thing's for sure, we're definitely not paying the police enough to deal with this. I mean, for all intents and purposes, we're asking local police departments to join the civil war that the left is perpetrating on the rest of us. They were attacking the Coast Guard and DHS in various cities. It's on. It's on because people were too cowardly to stop it. Why do they hate you so much? Why do they want you to live in fear and poverty? Because they're paid to? Because they're afraid? I think they really do hate you. I think they've been carefully, not everyone, not probably your local city council, but maybe. I mean, why shouldn't I believe that these people have been carefully chosen by the cabal that decides which candidates to support? Which would be the same cabal that buys the ads on network television and finances campaigns and facilitates the downfall of our country by importing foreigners and encouraging them to vote. And the people left that don't hate you, that don't want to see the destruction of your country, were have either quit or been unseated through fraudulent elections. I mean, Minnesota is actively encouraging illegals to vote. I mean, doesn't that explain how Minnesota has become the mess that it is today? So they're encouraging illegals to vote. And we're losing any sort of resemblance to America in these cities and states, because they've been giving all of these people the right to vote. And this is how we're going to get mayors and governors like Omar Fatah. This headline from the Daily Wire, which has blessed me with the freedom to read this article. The headline, "Meet Omar Fatah, the radical Somali American socialist poised to be the next mayor of Minneapolis." He looks like the pirate from Captain Phillips. He really does. Is that racist? I don't know. I'm kind of done caring. Not a racist. If you're going to try to dissect everything I said to make me a racist, then I guess help yourself. The article reads, "A Somali American Democratic Socialist is on the verge of becoming the next mayor of Deep Blue Minneapolis, and he has radical goals for the city, including making it the last line of defense against Donald Trump and a safe haven for transgender surgeries." Boy, all of this stuff, these people just, they march in lockstep. And I've been perplexed by that reality for a long time. There's no variety of thoughts on the left. No, not a single Democrat thinks that children shouldn't be able to decide if they're going to have transgender surgeries when they're 10 years old. This is from Omar's website. "My name is Omar Fatah, and I currently serve as the Minnesota State Senator representing District 62, a seat I first won in 2020 and again in 2022. 2020, you say? What was going on in 2020? Oh, that's right. Universal vote by mail. I wonder if, I got to look it up now. I wonder if Minnesota changed its voting laws. Did Minnesota change its voting laws for the pandemic in 2020? More from Omar Fatah's website. You can read it yourself if you're really sadistic and self-flagellating. FatahForMayor.com/meet Omar. "I was born to immigrant parents from Somalia who instilled in me the values of a strong education, personal sacrifice, and community leadership. My early dedication to public service led me to pursue a master's degree in public administration, where I engaged with at-risk youth, especially students of color, to connect them with greater educational opportunities. My early service to Minneapolis included my role as a community specialist, where I worked to improve the city's outreach to East African communities." That's where they start, right? Community outreach, community organizing. It's where Obama came from. In Chicago. What's Chicago like now? He goes on to claim, "I was the first this, I was the first that." What's with all the first this, first that bragging? Who cares? How about the first qualified person to hold elected office? That's impressive to me. How about the first person to be worth a damn? After thinking for 48 seconds, Kroc answered, "Did Minnesota change its voting laws for the pandemic in 2020? Yes." Surprise, surprise. Minnesota implemented several changes to its voting laws and procedures for the 2020 elections in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, These were primarily temporary measures aimed at promoting safer voting options like expanded absentee balloting while minimizing in-person risks. I hate the political language. And then it goes on to list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different changes that they made. Oh, but it was all for you. It was all for you and your safety. Definitely not so that we could completely crash the country. Not at all. Definitely not so that we could facilitate an authoritarian Islamic state. Either way, whether you support him or not, he's number one in the primary polls, 43%. But I wonder what those polls would look like if only Americans were voting. Or I don't know. Well, where do you come down on this? For me, saying that only Americans should vote, I don't know. I can't decide if my opinion is too harsh or if I'm just being influenced by leftist propaganda. Saying only Americans should vote seems a little bit overboard. It seems a little bit harsh. But what would the country look like if that was the case? From at Open Source Zone, he offers this 2025 New York City mayor election poll. If the election was, if only American-born New Yorkers voted in this mayoral election between Zohran Mamdani, Andrew Cuomo, former governor of New York, and Curtis Sliwa, Andrew Cuomo wins with 40%, to Zohran's 31%, to Sliwa's 25%. Among foreign-born New Yorkers, Mamdani takes 62%. It's crazy. I mean, I don't really like or believe polls. But those data points make sense to me. I find that believable. And by the way, this does explain why the border was wide open and the left created sanctuary cities and states. Right? It's all unfolding before our very eyes. This Breitbart article headline, poll, foreign-born voters are behind socialist Zohran Mamdani's huge lead in New York City mayoral race. Just a little bit from the article. Decades of mass legal immigration to New York City, New York, has propelled socialist Zohran Mamdani's campaign to be the city's next mayor. A new poll reveals. It's all according to plan. It's exactly what they want for you. Exactly. And it has globalism written all over it. It's really the answer for all of the problems that we're experiencing right now. It's the Cloward-Piven strategy. I've got more on that. They're financing foreign-born. You know, Zohran Mamdani applied to be a citizen in 2018. And now he wants to be the mayor of New York City. We'll come back to that. Netflix is feeling the squeeze. Their talks. Good Lord. I've been going through some stuff. It's just, if I seem all over the place and totally discombobulated, I've been going through some stuff. I'll just leave it at that. I'm okay. I'm happy. things are looking up. It's nothing to worry about. But I'm feeling the effects. Netflix stock tanked. I mean, I don't know if you could consider it tanked. Of course, Wall Street considers it tanked because it dropped 6%. Their last, or their on their earnings report, because their earnings were down. And all the Wall Street fat cats went, "What? We can't tolerate this. You have to show quarterly growth every single time." It's beautiful. It's a beautiful economic system. I love it. My favorite. I'm not a communist. I'm not a socialist. But I think this capitalist Wall Street system that we have is really, really retarded. I mean, a president can go on social media and write a tweet and crash the stock market. Stupid. That should not be a thing. That should not exist in reality. Somebody can write a tweet. I mean, and not just the president. You think Elon Musk isn't capable of crashing the stock market with a social media post? Jeff Bezos, you think he's not capable? Of course they are. Stupid. Convince me otherwise. Of course, I'm thinking what we're all thinking, right? Netflix stock plummets on a missed earnings report. Because we all canceled our Netflix memberships. You saw me do it live on this show. The headline from the New York Post: Netflix shares slide on rare earnings miss, snapping 6-quarter profit streak. 6 quarters they were making profits. I bet it was more than that. Netflix missed the earnings target set by stock market analysts during the video streamer's latest quarter. A letdown that the company blamed on a tax dispute in Brazil. Now, here's what's interesting about their rationalization. They knew this was coming. However, when faced with the reality of paying the tax, they told the investors that it didn't think it would impact their profits. But it did. They missed their target, and their stocks dropped significantly. So is it Brazil? Or is it because you and me and many of us said we'd had enough of the woke corruption being forced into our children's heads? I think that's what it is. And I think they're lying to their shareholders. Also, in addition to, and why wouldn't they? Is there justice for lying to increase stock price? I bet anyone and everyone who works for a major company could tell you about the lies their company tells the public to create positive public perception, thereby increasing their stock price. Amazon does it. Amazon runs ads. I've heard them multiple times a week, telling you all about how great their company is. So come work for them. That's what the ads are about. You get healthcare on day one. You get all this great stuff. I mean, on top of advertising that they need people to come and work for their terrible company, they're also creating public perception that Amazon is a great company, worth your support and worth your hard-earned paycheck. You know, I bet they're worried about the trade struggles with China. I bet that's why we're hearing the ads. They thought they were this big bad company, push people around, steal intellectual property, cut all these backdoor deals with China to enrich themselves. Then Donald Trump comes along, starts creating some trade issues. Those tariffs on China are going to directly impact Amazon and Walmart. I bet Walmart is worried too. Everything Walmart sells is made in China, for the most part. Just like Amazon, just like eBay. They are pipelines funneling cheap Chinese goods into the United States for the enrichment of the Chinese Communist Party and the businesses that support them. When it comes to tariffs, I say, bring it on. America first. They're a good thing. I'm willing, and I feel that it is my duty and the duty of Americans to support this trade effort by the United States against the Chinese Communist Party. I think Trump's on his way over there right now, because November 1st is coming. What are we, 5 days away? 5 days away from an additional 100% tariff on Chinese goods coming into the United States. I don't know all the details. They haven't been discussed. This was, of course, as we covered a week ago, in response to China's crazy claims of all the export controls that they're going to roll out, because I don't know, what your guess is as good as mine. They think they can dominate the world by taking advantage of all their exports and the power that that gives them over the rest of the world. Donald Trump told them to think twice. And they are, and they have, and they will. Because according to the economists that I've listened to, the United States can withstand a trade war with China. China cannot. Maybe that's fake news. Maybe that's propaganda designed to make me support the tariff efforts that the Trump administration is using to exert its control over the rest of the world. I mean, I don't know. Is it better that the United States? I mean, I think it is. I live in the United States. I don't live in China. Canada is going to get 10% extra tariffs because of this fake ad that they tried to use against the American people. Let's check it out.
When someone says, let's impose tariffs on foreign imports, it looks like they're doing the patriotic thing by protecting American products and jobs. And sometimes for a short while it works, but only for a short time. But over the long run, such trade barriers hurt every American worker and consumer. High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs. Throughout the world, there's a growing realization that the way to prosperity for all nations is rejecting protectionist legislation and promoting fair and free competition. America's jobs and growth are at stake.
So that's meant to make you think. This is a statement that Ronald Reagan made about tariffs back during the Reagan administration of American politics. And it's a completely fake video created by Canada to sway the American public's perception of tariffs. This is how propaganda used to be done. Created in another country. Because it used to be illegal. Not thanks to Obama. So that made Trump mad. Canada's fake propaganda videos attempting to sway American political perspective. And Donald Trump responded on Truth Social. Canada was caught red-handed putting up a fraudulent advertisement on Ronald Reagan's speech on tariffs. Totally fake. The Reagan Foundation said that they, quote, created an ad campaign using selective audio and video of President Ronald Reagan. The ad misrepresents the presidential radio address and, quote, did not seek nor receive permission to use and edit the remarks. The Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation and Institute is reviewing its legal options in this matter. So the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation discovered this Canadian ad and went to the mattresses. Donald Trump continues in his social media post. The sole purpose of this fraud was Canada's hope that the United States Supreme Court will come to their, quote, rescue on tariffs that they have used for years to hurt the United States. Now the United States is able to defend itself again against high and overbearing Canadian tariffs and those from the rest of the world as well. Ronald Reagan loved tariffs for purposes of national security and the economy. But Canada said he didn't. Their advertisement was to be taken down immediately, but they let it run last night during the World Series, knowing that it was a fraud. Because of their serious misrepresentation of the facts and hostile act, I am increasing the tariff on Canada by 10% over and above what they are paying now. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Who do you think put them up to it? Of course they knew it was fake. They had to know that it was going to really piss Donald Trump off. And they did it anyway. Unfortunately, the damage is done. They ran it during the World Series. And I hope that it doesn't sway the Supreme Court's opinion. Hopefully, now knowing that it's totally fake, will impact the Supreme Court's decision. And I know it's hard for all of us, myself included, at the grocery store, for really all industries. I mean, hope the decrease in energy costs should hopefully be seen. Oh, this is not what I wanted to pull up. I hope I didn't lose my. Yeah, I think I saved the wrong. Yeah, I did. I saved the wrong link. Dang it. Maybe I have the conversation history. This was meant to show us how much the United States has taken in tariff revenue since Donald Trump took office. And it's something like $450 billion just since January 2025. But there was a crazy stat hidden in there that I thought was really interesting, considering what issues are discussed in both wings of the party. This isn't something that comes up among Republicans. And maybe it was fake. I want to just caveat this. Corporations only pay something like $486 billion in taxes a year, while individuals pay over $4 trillion. And actually, I think that statistic is what has been paid, or I should say, what the IRS has reported has been paid to date, since January 2025 to today, I mean, we can assume until today, based on whatever information is available today, October 26th. That seems to be a massive discrepancy. Which, I mean, it's of course because the corporation, I mean, of course the government would cut the corporations massive tax breaks. It doesn't matter if they're Democrat. It doesn't matter if they're Republican. They're going to give the corporations massive tax breaks. They're going to saddle us with the debts of the entire country. Because why? Because they're the people that bought all the politicians. The politicians say, hey, corporate CEOs, massive multinational corporations, we're going to give you major tax breaks so that you can afford to give us campaign donations. It's not, I mean, that should not sound outrageous to you. That makes perfect sense to me. Yeah, we'll give you a break on taxes and you can just pay that extra, you can pass that extra savings right on to me. And I'll keep making sure you get those corporate tax breaks. I promise. Funny that the Republicans don't ever talk about that. The Democrats used to talk about it, and that's why the corporations started funneling millions and millions of dollars into their campaign coffers. They want to keep up that corporate savings. But Democrats answer only to their donors. That's the reason for this persistent government shutdown. Because the cabal wants the shutdown to continue. Here's this video shared by @RightAngleNews at a press conference with Mike Johnson present, talking about the corruption that exists with Democrat politicians as it pertains to this government shutdown.
Another Democrat said, Senator Ossoff's calculation is, quote, do I vote to open the government up and get crushed and can't raise a single dollar of low dollar money? Or do I vote to shut the government down and get $3 million from online fundraising? That's disgusting. Senator.
And we all remember how the online fundraising is working, right? Remember the stories about 22-cent donations made 500,000 times by Granny Ruth, who has no memory of making the donations, but had donated before, so they had all of her information. So for all intents and purposes, I say that too much. Basically, they stole Granny's identity to make hundreds of thousands of penny donations to Democrat politicians to fund their campaigns. I don't think they're stealing the money. I think they were fraudulently attributing the donations to people that had made donations in the past. But this allows Democrats like Senator John Ossoff to justify keeping the government shut down so that they can keep raking in the cash from the people that want to facilitate the destruction of our country. And it doesn't stop with him. Catherine Clark says making you suffer gives Democrats leverage.
I mean, shutdowns are terrible. And of course, there will be, families that are going to suffer. We take that responsibility very seriously. But it is one of the few leverage times we have. I mean, shutdowns are terrible.
It's a Republican shutdown, right? You know why the government is still shut down? It's because the Democrats want to increase spending by $1.5 trillion so that they can give free healthcare to illegal immigrants, among other things. But it's a Republican shutdown, right? There's only 3 Democrats that are voting to open the government? John Fetterman, Senator Hoodie from Pennsylvania, Catherine Cortez Masto from Nevada joined Fetterman in voting to open the government, emphasizing the shutdown's harm to Nevada constituents. And the third senator, Jeanne Shaheen. What a great name. Vote for Jeanne Shaheen. I really shouldn't. I shouldn't base my opinions of politicians on how amazing their name sounds. But I want to. She is the latest Democrat to join the other two senators to open the government back up. But what are the Democrats talking about? And what is the media supporting? Oh, Donald Trump's new, or what are they calling it? Donald Trump's White House destruction. He's destroying the East Wing. Haven't you heard? Have you been on social media? Have you seen the rampant destruction? Donald Trump just bulldozing the White House. How stupid are Democrat voters to believe that? You can't. I mean, I asked Grok, what's going on with Donald Trump's renovations to the White House? And delightfully, it took me back to 2017 when Donald Trump oversaw $3.4 million of overhaul to the White House, which included updates to the HVAC and IT systems, the West Wing lobby, the South Portico steps. The Oval Office was renovated with new furniture, wallpaper, carpeting, and gold-hued upholstery to get the smell of Democrats out of there, I'm sure. First Lady Melania Trump led a 2020 renovation of the Rose Garden, which involved removing some trees and plants. Where was the outrage? I mean, was there outrage then? Now, in his second term, Trump initiated a major $200 to $300 million project to add a 90,000 square foot Gilded Age style ballroom to the East Wing, requiring partial demolition of the existing structure. I mean, it's just pathetic. The Democrats are so pathetic. I can't believe it. This is all they have left. And they thought it was really cool when Barack Obama did it. Please believe they had no complaints. I have the clip.
Sounds like they're building another wing to the White House, but we appreciate you keeping your focus.
You can't even imagine, TJ. It's going to happen for the next 2 years. All of the banging, the jackhammering, the dust, the confusion, the noise of all places to do construction is happening right here, the front lawn of the White House.
It's a 4-year renovation project. Estimated cost, $376 million.
Oh, but there's bulldozers and piles of dirt, and it's just, oh no, wait, it's really cool because Barack Obama's doing it. The coolest president the United States has ever had, you guys. Remember, he could do no wrong. Barack Obama could do no wrong. I just can't, I mean, really, I can't believe the level of pathetic that the Democrats have fallen to. But we have the internet now. We can go back and see. CNN thought the renovations were amazing. It was so cool. She's out there with her hard hat, big smile on her face. Bobcats and bulldozers driving around. 4-year project, $376 million paid for by, friends to the United States. Benevolent donors that want to, do their part as American citizens and see improvements to the nation's capital. No, you paid for that. No issues with the media. But in a beautiful turn of events, thanks to Republicans who have had enough, and can I just say, we've gotten so much wonderful information from whistleblowers about Zohran Mamdani, about crazy Katie Mashed Potato Porter, who, I mean, as far as this podcaster is concerned, has seen her gubernatorial aspirations evaporate in California. Although, do not underestimate their ability to steal the election for her. But speaking of California, look what has just been uncovered. This story came out 10 days ago, maybe 11 days ago now, and illustrates exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to the corruption of Democrats.
Still keeping taxpayers in the dark about their new office building under construction still.
KCRA 3 political director Ashley Zavala has been digging into this story for years now, and she joins us with the latest information.
Golston, this project is clearly progressing in front of everyone's eyes to see in downtown Sacramento. But state lawmakers are not prioritizing the need to keep people informed about it. It has been at least 3 years since they provided the last cost estimate of about $1.1 billion. And even then, that figure makes it one of the most expensive buildings in the United States. Here's a look at what the construction looks like so far. The structure looks like it's pretty much set. Glass panels are going up on the facade. All year this year, I've been asking the group of Democratic lawmakers overseeing this project for updates. That group, the Joint Rules Committee, earlier this spring told us they would provide a public update on the project at some point this year. That never happened. Lawmakers wrapped up their work for the year and left Sacramento last month. The chair of the Joint Rules Committee, the leader of it, Assemblymember Blanca Pacheco, would not comment when I asked her about that situation. Since June, I have been requesting contracts, change orders, financial statements, and other documents to get a sense of what costs look like. Some documents show lawmakers are getting monthly updates, but the Joint Rules Committee is not giving us those documents from the most recent years. Here's what a taxpayer advocacy group and the former chairman of the Historic State Capitol Commission had to say.
You would think that if the project were on budget and on time, they would be bragging about it. But the fact that they have not come forward to describe what the full cost of the project is should be a warning flag to everyone in California, particularly those of us who are taxpayers who have to pay for this.
I'm disappointed to hear that they aren't ready. Certainly they have the information somewhere. We know from information that Channel 3 gathered that the construction manager has been providing monthly cost forecasts to them. It would be interesting to maybe study a timeline of when the cost forecasts rose and when the legislature's leadership was informed of that.
As for the apparent holdup, Assemblymember Pacheco said in a statement to me that, quote, the project team is analyzing the financial implications resulting from the litigation and related changes in project scope. The litigation she's referencing ended more than a year ago.
Wow. Well, the transparency just doesn't feel like it's really there
It's
right
not,
now.
yeah.
Imagine if it was Democrats, or I mean Republicans. Imagine if the roles were reversed. Imagine if this was the behavior that Donald Trump was engaged in while building this ballroom. So Democrats throw a tantrum, and the media is all in on supporting this tantrum and lying to you in an effort to turn the public against the leaders you elected, despite their best efforts to lie, cheat, and steal that election, of course. But when people start asking about what's going on in their states with their renovations, they don't want to talk about it. They outright refuse. And you're even allowed to know that the information exists. But they refuse to let you know. What could possibly be the reason? Okay, incompetence and ability to get anything done. Okay, but what else? Well, if they're laundering money, as they seem to be doing in other projects in California, looking at you, high-speed rail that was supposed to go from Los Angeles to San Francisco now is going from Bakersfield to Merced, which would probably mean a lot more to me if I was more familiar with the geography of California. But they can't be seen in a negative light. What's even better, they can't be caught laundering money back to their own campaigns by paying millions of dollars to the contractors that are engaged in these renovations. What could you imagine? Are there probably no bid contracts to their brother's construction company? Who could turn around and buy them a yacht for Christmas on your dime? I'm surprised, honestly blown away, that any news organization, especially a news organization on network TV, is brave enough to put out that negative story. And I wonder what kind of threats that investigative journalist has come under. They can't have negative stories about them. They can't even engage in debates because their policies are so indefensible. Further evidence, I would say, of outside forces dictating these policies, because the revolution is on. Just because the news media either refuses to report on it or hasn't caught on yet, it's on. This is all part of the plan. They're plundering your country. They're stealing elections for America-hating leftists who will motivate their followers to carry out violence against Americans. What are you willing to do about it? What are you willing to support in the efforts to reverse this rot? I say go all the way. Arrest all the America-hating authoritarians, from judges to generals. Get it done. Don't just go on Fox News and complain about it. How about this? All the dimwit Democrats who claimed Trump was destroying the White House, they're not allowed to use the ballroom. They have to stand outside. We're not even paying for it, and they have the gall to feign outrage. It's like that's all they have. It's all they have to talk about while they're giving our country away. It's Cloward-Piven. Are you familiar with Cloward-Piven? Grok gave me a summary here. The Cloward-Piven strategy is a political approach proposed in 1966 by sociologists Richard Cloward and Francis Fox Piven in an article published in The Nation magazine titled, quote, "The Weight of the Poor, a Strategy to End Poverty." It aims to address systemic poverty by deliberately overloading the U.S. public welfare system through mass enrollment of eligible individuals, creating a fiscal and administrative crisis that would pressure the government to replace welfare programs with a national guaranteed annual income system, effectively redistributing wealth and potentially advancing socialist reforms. What does that sound like? That sounds like universal basic income. Here's some key points of the original strategy. By the way, who was talking about universal basic income that you can think of most recently? Oh, was it the Asian presidential candidate Andrew Yang? It was like one of the things his campaign hung their hats on. Key points of the original Cloward-Piven strategy: mass mobilization and enrollment. Encourage and organize eligible poor individuals to apply for all available welfare benefits en masse, highlighting the discrepancy between legal entitlements and actual access. That's all the smokescreen to cover and try to portray in a benevolent light what they're actually trying to do, which is overloading the system. The next point. Flood local welfare bureaucracies with applications to cause administrative chaos, backlog, and financial strain on state and local governments, which would create a crisis. The resulting overload would trigger a political and economic eruption, exposing the inadequacies of the existing welfare framework. Again, smokescreen. The crisis would compel federal action, leading to the collapse of the current system and its replacement with a guaranteed annual income or similar universal program to end poverty. So what's been done is a flood of illegals, encouraging them to overload the system. Sanctuary cities, giving them protected status, temporary protected status, so they can legally receive benefits, so they can legally receive driver's licenses, but so they can be illegally registered to vote. They're importing the third world and overwhelming us. And they're doing it across the world, not just in the United States. The plan is in motion. So when did it start? Do you think it was Obama? I mean, do you really place it all on Obama, given what we know about Dick Cheney and George H.W. Bush? You know, George H.W. Bush was the director of the CIA. There are conspiracy theories that claim he was responsible for the assassination attempt on Ronald Reagan. I mean, Obama was bad, don't get me wrong. But I mean, he was deporting. I mean, maybe he was just deporting so that he could be covered. A little CYA action. But Biden was asleep at the wheel. That's when all of this was really accomplished. But he was asleep at the wheel. So I place all the blame on Mayorkas, who I think, I'm going to have to look this up. I don't think Mayorkas got a blanket pardon. Did Mayorkas get a blanket pardon from Biden? Oh, whoops. Just messing it up. Bear with me. Did Mayorkas get a blanket pardon from Biden? There we go. See what he has to say. Good old Grocky. So how are you feeling about the upcoming elections? How are you feeling about Katie Porter and Omar Fatah and Zohran Mamdani? I think we need to see major movements by this administration to safeguard elections. There are murmurings of things happening. And I think Gavin Newsom was crying on X, or at least I should say Gavin Newsom's account was crying on X. Let's type in election monitoring California. I think it was California. But of course they're outraged. They can't have people. What is possibly your justification to not allowing your elections to be monitored if it isn't that you're trying to cheat? Grok thought for 18 seconds and answered no. Alejandro Mayorkas did not receive a blanket pardon or any pardon from President Joe Biden. That hits hard. He could be in big trouble. Look for more news on the Mayorkas prosecution coming soon. But I think Mamdani will win. unless action is taken. Because all the conservatives and independent, self-respecting Democrats left New York City for somewhere safer, more affordable, somewhere that ultimately offers more freedom. But this was all part of the globalist plan. Take over the city and drive everyone out but the most dependent and the most socialist. The people that are most dependent on the socialist government for all their handouts, and the people that are so socialist and so on team revolution that they're willing to deal with the filth and the lack of safety. But they've driven out everyone else by denying them the most basic of things, like safety, sanitation, while having the highest. Do you know New York has the highest tax rate in the country? And get this, the 5th highest in the world. The highest taxes in the nation, the 5th highest taxes in the world. And they're importing immigrants like crazy who are immune to the high taxes. They're immune to the poverty. They're used to it. They import immigrants. They get them all enrolled on welfare and other social benefits. They give them driver's licenses. And they register them to vote. And they've done this in New York to the point where Eric Adams, what the mainstream media would call disgraced mayor of New York, he declared a state of emergency. Remember when that happened? And he was mercilessly dragged on mainstream media. It was never incompetence, as I hope you've seen from what I've presented to you so far. It was always deliberate. And it accomplished exactly what they wanted. And I never believed it was incompetence. I said it multiple times. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. But I was skeptical. It seemed so deliberate. The destruction was so stark and so swift. It seemed very deliberate to me. And, I bet they told Cuomo. He was the guy that went along with, he was the governor of New York when they went along, who went along with all the COVID nonsense, went full authoritarian on the people of New York. Remember, he put the grannies and grandpappies back in their nursing homes to die of COVID while there were, active outbreaks happening. I bet they told him he was the guy. He could have whatever he wanted. He could have any political position that he wanted. And then they stabbed him in the back. You know who that was? That was AG Letitia James and the current governor of New York, Kathy Hochul. In my estimation, they conspired to get him thrown out. Now he's calling in his favors to try to become the mayor of New York City. And he's getting, let this be an example to all of you sycophantic leftists who would sell us out for favors from the cabal. Look at Andrew Cuomo. Look at the favors that he did for the global cabal as it pertains to COVID. And look what he's getting. Some people think he's still going to win. And that could be. Bro, I'm hoping that Andrew Cuomo, the Democrat psycho, former governor of New York, wins the mayoral election because it can't be Zohran Mamdani. How do we end up in this position? I'm not saying that Cuomo doesn't deserve to get stabbed in the back for selling all of you New Yorkers out with his COVID policies. But how do we end up with either the crazy Islamo-fascist Zohran Mamdani or the scandal-ridden Andrew Cuomo? Why is it only, I mean, it has to give you pause. Why is it only those two? But get this. A ray of hope. A ray of sunshine. I saw in a somewhat, I mean, I don't want to say untrustworthy because I saw a lot of people post it. But I saw, maybe you'd call it a meme, that House Republicans are seeking to denaturalize Zohran Mamdani so they could apparently deport him, effectively ending his chances at being the mayor of New York. But I thought this can't possibly be true. Turns out, according to Grok, it's true. Multiple House Republicans are actively pushing for the U.S. Department of Justice to investigate New York City mayoral candidate and state assembly member Zohran Mamdani's naturalization process and potentially denaturalize him, citing alleged omissions or false statements on his 2018 citizenship application related to affiliations with certain groups or activities. Rep. Andy Ogles, Republican from Tennessee, has formally requested that Attorney General Pam Bondi, good Lord, initiate denaturalization proceedings against Mamdani on grounds of possible fraud, misrepresentation, or concealment of material support for terrorism. Other Republicans include Rep. Randy Fine, Republican from Florida, have echoed similar calls accusing Mamdani and other Muslim public figures of naturalization fraud. It's on. The invasion is on. The takeover is on. You must see this. I think you shouldn't be allowed to hold elected office if you aren't an American citizen. But I don't know if should you be allowed to hold elected office if you weren't born in the United States? Would that present a real problem? That we're only allowing natural-born Americans to seek elected office? I like it. I'm in favor. From the presidency to the school board, you should only be allowed to hold elected office if you were born in the United States. Stamp it. I think that would take care of a lot of the problems that we're having. But, I mean, maybe not. We just talked about Andrew Cuomo. Gavin Newsom stepped in it again. Or I don't know. We found out anyway. We found out that he stepped in it. Maybe you saw the horrific crash that happened this week. I don't know. The guy, the video is from the perspective of the driver, not even hitting the brakes, plowing into like 4 or 5 different cars in his big rig, killing 3 people. The first thing I thought when I saw the video was that guy was asleep. He came up on a traffic jam, didn't even hit the brakes, killed 3 people. And Gavin Newsom is the one that gave him a CDL. Just like the guy in Florida that killed another 2 or 3 people. Driving his big rig, just trying to make a left from the right lane across the highway because he missed his turn and was trying to take the easy way out. He didn't want to go down to the next exit to try to find a way to get back on the highway going the other way, so he just took a left and killed a bunch of people. Well, now it's been revealed that Gavin Newsom's California gave 62,000 CDL permits to illegal aliens and migrants to drive commercial vehicles. Let's watch the clip.
A federal audit found California had issued 62,000 CDLs to drivers who entered illegally, John, or do not have a permanent legal status as required by the feds. California sanctuary laws prohibit asking applicants their immigration status. Governor Newsom said there's not a problem. Back to you.
Did I hear you right? Did you say 62,000?
That's correct.
Oh, my goodness.
It's a federal audit.
William Legionnaires for us. William, thank you so much. Let's bring in the...
A federal audit found California...
So just an accident? I mean, there's so many different ways you could spin this. That's why you hold the people at the top accountable. For exactly the things that are happening in Cincinnati. They're happening in all of these places. When are we going to do something? I mean, that police chief in Cincinnati was appointed, not elected, was appointed by the mayor. No, not even the mayor. The police chief of Cincinnati was appointed by the city manager, who was appointed by the mayor. So the mayor has two different shields to hide behind when it comes to taking responsibility for the decay of his city. Oh, but he's at the podium. He's answering the press. But the media gives him cover. They literally feel no consequences. All by design. Because the globalist elite say, do what we say, and you'll never lose another election again. And how can they say that? How can they make these claims? It's becoming more and more apparent every day that the people running this country aren't the people that we voted for. I mean, did you hear the sensation when secrets, or maybe we better call them private donors, are giving money to pay the media, to pay the military? Private individuals are now paying the United States military because the Democrats won't open the government, going on the 13th time. Now, maybe I should relax. Maybe that doesn't give most of you concern. I'm concerned about it. The United States military isn't getting paid by you anymore. And that's a Donald Trump product. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not saying it will end badly. I'm not saying we shouldn't be paying our soldiers. All I'm saying is I'm concerned that private individuals that aren't the United States government are paying our soldiers. Why? Why is that happening? Why can the Democrats not even agree to continue paying our military and essential United States employees? It's kind of scary. Let's go out on some good news. Let's not be too afraid. Coming into the end of this show, justice is being served against another enemy of the United States. I don't know. I would consider John Brennan to be an enemy of the United States. He's one of the masterminds behind the Russia collusion hoax, one of the leaders of the coup against the United States government. And I don't care if you like the guy that's in the Oval Office or not. People like John Brennan, who ran the CIA under Barack Obama, should not be engaged in espionage against the country that they're serving. Do you even want to hear what he has to say? Ugh, I often become violently ill Okay, that's dramatic. When I hear podcasters that build entire shows on Democrat talking points, and it's just clip after clip of being of idiotic Democrats spouting their talking points and lying to the American people. We know they lie. We know they're bad guys. But here's what John Brennan had to say when he learned that he was being referred for criminal prosecution to the DOJ.
Well, when these things happen, I certainly get mad, I get angry. I also get sad that this is the state of our country and the state of our politics these days. The fact that, individuals like a Jim Jordan are going to go after somebody. I served nearly 3.5 decades in public service, a lot involved in counterterrorism in the aftermath of 9/11. They don't care about doing things like this to destroy individuals, to go after me, to hurt me and my family and others. And so, I'm saddened by what has happened. Sometimes I'm dispirited and disheartened. At the same time, I feel motivated to be able to stand up. And I'm glad that other people are standing up as well. And I see that more and more people are starting to realize what Donald Trump is all about. And so I'm hoping that the Republicans in Congress, I know it's a wish that I've had for quite a while, they're really going to draw the line. And when they look at what's happened against the White House, it's such a vivid depiction and symbolic of what's going on to this country. But
can we rely? You think the journalist is going to push back? I think the journalist is going to ask him about any of the things that he was engaged in with the CIA and the FBI, with the completely made up Russian collusion hoax that they played into for 3 years? Of course not. Because CNN is complicit.
The abuse of power, the desecration of the rule of law, the fact that Donald Trump continues to do these things, why they continue to allow it, I think it's going to hurt the Republicans over in the long term. And just doing this right now to be able to satisfy the whims of Donald Trump, I never thought we would face a situation like this throughout the course of my career.
He's the leader of the situations like this. I mean, I don't think it's a particularly compelling argument, but he started it. Yes, he did. He and Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, Christopher Steele, Victoria Nuland. Evil people that are trying to destroy the West. They're trying to destroy your country. And Europe and the UK, Brazil, they're all taking pages from this playbook. No doubt because the CIA is involved in these countries as well. All the ones that are experiencing mass illegal immigration and urban decay. It's all a global effort to bring authoritarianism to your front door. Spearheaded by this guy, John Brennan. He is an evil person. And if you want more on that, I say seek out John Kiriakou. He did a great interview with Tucker Carlson. And he talks about what an absolute monster of a human being John Brennan is, allegedly. We have to make these evil people pay for the crimes that they've committed against the United States. And we have to hold everyone that was complicit accountable. And I don't know what that means for their rights. I don't know where you draw the line on designating these people enemies of the United States and taking their rights away as American citizens. But at this point, I don't care anymore. I can't justify the continuation of the destruction of the United States just because the people that are trying to destroy the country are Americans. We have to stop them one way or another. Or just, I guess, give the country away. Are you satisfied with that? Peaceful divorce? Cede your territory to the people that hate us? Give them a base of operations so they can plan their attack? Throw the entire country into chaos? I mean, this is what they want. They're going to destroy all the blue cities, which will facilitate the destruction of the blue states, which will create absolute socialist states in the United States that won't adhere to federal law. That will, of course, want to actively participate in presidential elections. The snowball is gaining speed. It's time to take the gloves off. Be back here next Sunday at 11 a.m. to catch this podcast live. Thank you very much for joining me. Give me a follow on X at earthvox. Subscribe to my channels on Rumble, on YouTube, on Twitch. If you wouldn't mind, leave me a comment. Help elevate my visibility. I really appreciate it. Expect to see a lot more action in the coming weeks and months leading up to these elections, especially next year for the midterms. We have to support fighting back against the revolutionaries. Some people might get hurt. Some people's constitutional rights could be trampled. But what choice do we have? I wish we weren't faced with these decisions, but we are. We're here. Reach out to me. I want to know what you think. Send an email to therealearthvox@protonmail.com. And I welcome you to leave me a voicemail at 701-787-1121. I'll be back.